Okay. I think I got my act together. Let me mute that so I don't hear myself back there. I think I pick my own nose. I always keep that on my alternate account so that I can look over there and see what the quality of the feed is. So late night last night getting this power situation under control. I think we finally got it. I think we're at a good place now with the power. So pouring me a little beverage, little bevy. All right. Now, don't need to be crunching my ice in the microphone. Okay. Ooh. Let me check this real quick. I got notifications in my channel. Wow. What are we doing today? Well, let's flip over to the game and let's look at what we're doing today. I'd like to tell you, but I'm going to show you. Let's get a, I think we're going to stick with Apple. I really like Apple, man. These Apple Rogues. We're going to go, we'll go with this one today. So this is what we're looking at. Yesterday, we kind of, this is temporary right down here, but what we ran into is we have 4 lines over here, and basically the way that they go is 6 3 3 6. So 600 300 300 600. I don't know why I did it that way, but that's the way I did it. And so what we're doing is we're feeding, what does that come to, 1800 crude oil into these refineries. They don't need 1800, they need like 12. So not a huge deal. Let me open this. I've got some items for sale on my marketplace, so I need to keep an eye on that. But anyways, what was happening is I've got Mark II pipes feeding those, which are supposed to have a 600 throughput. Can I turn this down? Just turn that down just a little bit. Anyway, they're supposed to have a 600 throughput. I tested and tested and tested, and I could not get 600 through those pipes. So what I ended up doing, I'll show you. This front end is fine. It's feeding 600. Well, there's 15. So there's 15 that need 30. That need 30 crude oil. So 450. So that's not a problem. We're only pushing 450 through this pipe. Even though we're feeding 600 into it, we only need to draw out 450. So that's not a problem. These are facing each other. That's also oil. These are pushing 600. So we'll get into that in just a second. But this is where the issue was at. These machines are pushing out. There's 15 machines. Now that I'm looking at it, I did my math wrong. That's why it was backing up. Anyways, did I? Maybe I didn't. 40. Yeah, okay, so 15 times 40. Yeah, so 15 times 40. No, I didn't do my math wrong. So essentially what was happening is each one of these machines, 15 of them, this whole line of machines was pushing out 40 heavy oil residue each. But what was happening is heavy oil residue was backing up because it wasn't able to evacuate the machine into the pipe to go down there for processing. So these machines were backing up. These 4 machines were backing up. So what I did is instead of doing 15, I overclocked the middle two, which are basically the last ones in the line. These two right here, and the last ones in the line. I turned that one off, and I split this into two. So essentially you've got 7 machines here and 7 machines here feeding 2 groups of 5 machines here. So that's 7 down there feeds this 5 right here. That's 7 right there feeds this 5 right here. And if you look down here, I've still got it connected so it can, like, if there's any overage, it can backfeed. But all I did was run a secondary Mark II pipe down here because every time I tested with Mark II pipes, I was not getting 600 throughput. No matter what I did, I could not get 600 throughput exactly. I was getting like 523, 540. It was fluctuating, but it seemed to like stay about 523. So I switched over to Mark I's just to test it, and it worked fine. So then I thought, well, I'll build a little extra room in there for it. So what could happen is these pipes will fill up, and they'll have what they need in there. Basically, they have room, so there should never be any blockages. The result was, if you look, we're at 100, 100, 100, all the way down. They're 100 all the way down, no yellows. These 3 machines, I'm still working. I'm wondering if the flow rate issue is related to non-full pipes. So what I did, Tyre, because this is what you and I talked about before, I disconnected right here. I disconnected this pipe right here. I connected it to a fluid buffer. I put a fluid buffer right here and connected it to a fluid buffer and let the pipe fill up completely and the fluid buffer completely fill up. I disconnected this pipe over here. Right there. I disconnected it so that I could isolate this line right here. And then when this pipe was full and that fluid buffer was full, I went ahead and connected it to these until both groups were absolutely full. And I was syncing my resin over here. So these would just continuously run until the fluid was backed up. So I filled the pipes up, and then as soon as the pipes were full and I started getting yellows from being backed up, I went ahead and connected it to the generators, and I let it fill the generators. And so it went through and it filled the generators all the way through. And then the pipe filled up, and then it started backing up. There was no slosh. So that's how I troubleshot that. I didn't know. I had the same thought, and I was like, how do I determine if it's related to slosh or not? Well, that fluid buffer that's right there, if it's completely full and I had it elevated, it was your HOR pipe you had the issue with it. Yes, it was all about the HOR pipe. Yeah, we eliminated the oil as an issue. And the reason we eliminated the oil as an issue is because even though I'm pushing 600 into each one of these pipes, but these machines are only drawing out 450. So I don't need 600, so the oil will never be a problem on this side. So then I was like, okay, the next step, like you told me to look at one thing at a time. So the way I looked at it was, this is a power plant right here. This is a power plant. That's a power plant. So I treated it like that. So I got this to 100% efficiency, and then I moved on. But I isolated it to, it wasn't the polymer resin, because this wasn't stacking up. And so I was like, it's got to be the heavy oil residue. Because if I went to the end and I chased the fault back, you know what I'm talking about, I was like, well, the generators are not getting enough fuel. Why are they not getting enough fuel? Well, it's because these weren't producing enough fuel. Why aren't these producing enough fuel? And it was because they're not getting enough heavy oil residue. So here was the issue right here. So I knew if I fixed this here, I would resolve the issue. But because the issue was the Mark II pipe is not moving 600. It would never move like 600. It shows the max flow rate at 600, but it doesn't, it's not true at all. No matter what I tested, I couldn't get it to that point. And when I filled the pipe, when I filled these pipes, I did get one pipe that was 600 full, but I could never get my flow rate to show 600. So just to test it, I went ahead and fired off those two and made those where they were running. And then these, I flushed the entire system. And then I was trying to see if basically with it empty, these should be producing 600. So right here on this line, I should have seen a 600 flow rate, and I never saw 600. I saw 523, 540. And so that's why I was like, it's not, these were producing 600, but I wasn't getting 600 to here. That makes sense? No matter what I did, I couldn't get 600 to there. So then what I did was I was like, all right, if I can't get 600 to there because there's a bottleneck of some sort, let's split it off into 2 Mark IIs so we've got some headspace in the pipe. So there's never a bottleneck. And as soon as I split it off into 2 and did this, it fixed it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to let this run. I'm going to let it run for several hours and make sure that it's not going to back up. And if it doesn't back up, then I know that this is kind of the model that I need to use, and I'll build that into my blueprint rather than, you know, do what I've been doing. No big deal. It's running at 100 though. I mean, it's 100% efficiency, and that line is like, I'm like, dude, last night when I hit 100%, I was like, it was like borderline orgasmic. I was like, this is what Satisfactory is all about. This is it. Look at that line. Look how flat that line is. So anyways, there we go. So yeah, we're at 100% over here. We're syncing. Another issue I ran into is each one of these lines needs 450. This line needs 450 and that line needs 450 for rubber and plastic. Yeah, that serotonin hit hard for sure. So I needed 450, but the problem is I have 3 lines that need to merge. So basically what I need to do is run a dedicated line to here, a dedicated line from here to there, and then split a line. So this one is, each one of these is making 300, so that's 900. So I needed to add 150 to each line. Well, the problem is where I came down here, I started merging those 2 lines and I was getting a bottleneck right here. And the polymer resin was backing up. And I was like, well, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. These are supposed to be 480. These Mark IV belts. 480. Well, I need 450, so I've got 30 headspace. It should be fine. It was backing up. So because of the merge, it was backing up at the merge. So I'm like, well, shit. I don't really know what to do. So all I did was I disconnected that other line. This line right here I disconnected. So I basically got that line feeding this one. And that line way over there feeding this one. So they're undersupplied, but they're not backing up. And then I'm just syncing. I just went ahead and put this on a sync right here. So why? Man, that's delayed big time. Because is it right here? Yeah, so this is a merge. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This was an issue I needed to resolve, but I couldn't figure out how to resolve it. So basically I took this and I put a splitter on. You might be able to, it needs to be balanced is what needs to happen, is what I feel like. Hold on, I'm stupid. So this line coming out of here, this line coming out of here needs to be split and it needs to connect Well, I'm just gonna do it like this for now, but it needs to connect this way. So basically, that's 300, that's 150, that's 150. Okay, this is 300, this is 300, which makes that 450, and this is 450. Okay. Yes, that's exactly. I'm dealing with the balancing issue because what's happening, as you can see, this is already backing up. And then what happens is if you follow the trail, it'll keep going until this starts getting slow. See how it's going further and further up the belt? It'll back up all the way down to there. And then those machines down there will start shutting down. So it's a balancer issue. I need to put a balancer in over here. So instead of doing that last night, it was late and I was like, screw it, I don't want to mess with it. I just connected this to a sink and said, there you go. And it cleaned. And this is because your throughput is higher than your belts can support. Is it though? The only thing, so these are producing 30 each and these are producing 20. So here's what I did. So I've got 12 producing 20, 12 times 20, which is 240, right? And then I have 2 producing 30, so I have 240 plus 60 is 300. So this line is producing 300, so no, it's not producing, it's not overwhelming the belt, according to my math. And this one's off, so it's not producing anything. This one's off, that one's off, and that one's turned off, which is why they're yellow. So we're producing 300 here, 300 there, 300 there. So basically that line's 300, that line's 300, and that line's 300 underneath there. So if I split this line, it's 150 going into 300, which is 450. And the belt supports 480. Your resin byproduct all fits on one belt? No, it's 3 belts. I have it split into, I mean, this is a Mark IV belt. That's another thing I checked because I was like, did I do Mark IV all the way through here? So I checked these belts. These are all Mark IV in my blueprint because I thought, well, maybe I screwed up my blueprint. These lifts are all Mark IV, I believe. So we've got 4. God dang, dude. Calm down. Scared the shit out of me. Yes, it gets simpler. Once I unlock Mark V's, then I'll just upgrade those and I'll combine them. It's not a big deal. That's what I plan to do because then there's not going to be a throughput issue. But right now, I think what's happening is it's so close to the threshold for that belt that it is like slowly backing up. It's not an immediate backup. And, you know, it's kind of crazy. I also thought about doing one of these, like to actually see what we're getting. Let's put one right there. And let's put one right there on that belt. And we'll put one right here on this belt. So those should level out at 300. There's nothing, you know what I mean? Like those should be 300. 300, 300, right at 300. Okay, got it. It seems to me like the easy solution is to put your resin where it should go and split your overflow on each of your 3 resin lines into 3 different sinks. Okay, and so that's what I did. So I have a sink attached to this line right here because I thought, well, if it gets backed up, it'll just sink right here. But it never gets backed up over here. This is using it. It's backing up over here. It's backing up before it gets here. So and I don't have room to put a sink over there. So I was like, well, shit, because that was my thought as well last night, and I just couldn't get it to line up. So then what I finally came up with was I was like, you know what? This belt is going to suffer right here. Yes, it needs to be earlier. It needs, honestly, I probably should have built extra space right in here, put my sink at the end of the line so that no matter what, it empties this line. And if it starts backing up somewhere in here, it sinks instead of down there. But that wasn't my design. So, the other option is just upgrade the belts. Once I unlock the Mark 5s, I'll upgrade the belt to Mark 5 up to this point, and we should be good to go. So anyways, I'm happy it is cranking out power. I made my pad way too fucking big. If what you have is working, yeah, it's a temp issue. Yeah, the only downside is it's not making as much plastic and rubber as I need, but I think it's okay. And then these can get deleted. I needed power shards last night, so I made this. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I got it all to 100%, and then I went and deleted. I had the plant over there, and I went and deleted it and connected it to that line over there. And when I deleted that plant, everything shut down. Even though, man, this is way delayed. I might need to restart my game. Yeah, oops is right. It was a total fiasco. So then I had to go over to my coal plant, which I'm going to go back over there now. Actually, real quick, I'm going to restart. Let me restart this game. It's, for some reason, my game it's delayed to the stream. Let me relaunch the game. Golly. We got lots of stuff up and going. Close that. Let's make sure. I gotta make sure everything's closed. Close Discord on that computer. That might help. So yeah, it shut down my power. So then I went over and built. It was funny because I was sitting there and I was thinking, after that, I was like, damn it, if I'd have had battery backups. So I went over to my coal plant and I built 40 battery backups. So I've got 4K on hand. We're ready to go. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I would be getting an earful from Tyre if he was around, for sure. So went over to the coal plant, built my battery backups, and then I disconnected the whole grid from the coal, powered the coal back on, charged the batteries, reconnected it to the grid, and then everything came back up. All right, let's see if this worked. Nope. Super delayed. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's okay though. So my plan today, now that I've got this power plant going, I should be able to delete my other coal plant and put my my good coal plant in place, which will give me another 1,500 megawatts, putting me right at a steady 20. Man, that audio's way off on in game. Why is my audio so far off? Could be my, I guess it could be my capture card. Solving challenges. Yeah. Well, I definitely solved challenges last night. I got no dropped frames. What's my internet look like? 900 up, 900 down. Interesting. Any idea why that sound would be delayed? Any input on that? The video's going through just fine. I wonder if it's my capture card. Let me check my capture card real quick. Da-na-na-na-na. See if there's, maybe there's updates. Nope. 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 Just gonna check. It's at 25, 1440p, 120 hertz. Yeah, everything's fine there. Who, me? No, I'm just a worm. Just a worm. I love that movie. Let me fix this YouTube chat. Well, I may have to restart the stream then. It's crazy. The plan is to delete this plant right here and duplicate that plant. Yeah, stand by. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna reload the stream because it's something's going on here. I'll be right back.